Music from the new Beatles double LP that's released on Apple Records tomorrow. The show is brought to you by the Daily Express, and with me tonight, Paul McCartney and Judith Simons of the Daily Express. We're going to talk about the LP, and I know that you're going to enjoy it. Well, Paul, I'd like you to talk about the LP in general.
What do you want to say about it, Tony? The songs, I think, perhaps a surprise to some people, because I think a lot of people expected another step from Sgt. Pepper.
Well, it is another step, but it's not necessarily in the way people expected. On Sgt. Pepper, we had more instrumentation than we never had, more orchestral stuff than we'd ever used before. So it was more of a production. But we didn't really want to go overboard on that this time. And we've tried to play more like a band this time, only using instruments when we have to, instead of just using them for the fun of it.
Is this for any sort of concept of being able to do the things live?
Yeah, and also for the concept that we like playing together. That's the main concept.
It's becoming quite a word. The first track on the LP is Back in the USSR.
It sure is, Tony. You're quite right, boy.
Can we just talk about this particular track, because it's a
Back in the USSR.
Yeah, it's a wild rocking thing.
Yeah, that's a track which it just sort of came. Chuck Berry once did a song called Back in the USA, which is very American, very Chuck Berry, very sort of he was serving in the army, and when I get back home, I'm gonna kiss the ground, and I just can't wait to get back to the States. And it's a very American sort of thing, I've always thought, that kind of. So this one is like about, in my mind, it's just about a spy sort of who's been in America a long, long time, some fella who's been in America a long time, and he's picked up and he's very American, but he gets back to USSR, where, and he's sort of saying, leave it till tomorrow, honey, to disconnect, to disconnect the phone and all that. And come here, honey, and with Russian women and that. You see, what it is, it concerns the attributes of Russian women. Soul element created by George's guitar and heavy brass. Flip side flapper.
Cliff Bennett is releasing this as a single. Have you heard this particular take yet?
No, I haven't heard this particular take, but it concerns the attributes of Russian women. Soul element created by George's guitar and heavy brass. I like this kind of music, I like most kinds of music. So that I haven't got a bag, as they say, except the big black one in the hall outside. And this, this Obla D, Obla Da, and USSR and Martha and that, like are three different songs altogether. In fact, all of mine are on the LP. But I can't really say anything about that. I'm pretty diverse. You know what I mean? I haven't got one sort of thing. So this, I've no idea why it's Jamaican or anything. Just because I like that kind of thing.
Did you write the song on your own? I mean, this is a combination of the Lennon-McCartney thing.
I think it was mainly me. John's a bit more Nigerian influence. I only like to talk about it because I like it, This is a favourite of mine. The idea of the Happiness is a Warm Gun thing is from an advert in an American paper. Where it said, happiness is a warm gun, sort of thing, and it was sort of get ready for the long hot summer with a rifle, come and buy them now. It was an advert in a gun magazine, and it was so sick, the idea of come and buy your killing weapons and come and get it. And it was just such a great line, that happiness is a warm gun, that John sort of took that and uses that as a chorus.
Yeah.
And the rest of the words, I think they're great words, It's a poem. It's a poem when it finishes off, happiness is a warm gun. Yes, it is.
So, in fact, he's probably fairly serious about...
it's as serious as anyone ever gets, It's not deadly serious. You know what I mean? It's just words, and if you sort of really taxed him on it and said, would you be willing to die for these words? I'm sure he wouldn't. I'm sure it's not really serious. But, the good words... I'd stick up for anyone who's sort of worried about them. It's just good poetry. Tune. And you see, I just start singing some words with the tune, and it just, what I mean? I don't ever write a song thinking, now I'll write a song about. I do sometimes, but mainly I don't. And mainly I'm doing a tune, and then some words come into my head, and these happen to be Martha, My Dear, Although I spend days in conversation. It doesn't mean anything, you know. Or those just happen to come into my head. So that's what this song's about. So it is about my dog. But I don't particularly want her to remember me. Like the song is about Martha. I don't mean it. You know. But like, you make up songs. You know, you don't make up songs trying to make a serious. I don't ever trying to make any sort of serious social point. You know. I just make it because I've got to have words to use it. You know. So I make up any kind of. So, you know, you can read anything you like into it, but really, it's just as a song. It's me singing to my dog.
Well, over what period, how long a time has it taken you all to get this whole LP together? I mean, write the songs?
Well, since we were in India, we started writing this batch of songs, and we've written a few since. But this is mainly the Indian batch that we sort of finished. Sounds like consignment of eggs or something.
I think it's quite a beautiful song.
Thank you, Tony. Well, it's simple in concept because you couldn't think of anything else to put on it. And that's what I was saying about the Sgt. Pepper thing. Maybe on Pepper we would have sort of worked on it until we could find some way to put violins or trumpets or something on it. But I don't think it needs it, this one. You know, it's just, there's nothing to the song. It is just one of those pick it and sing it, and that's it. The only point where we're thinking of putting anything on it is where it comes back in at the end. So it stops and then it comes back in. But instead of putting any backing on it, we put a blackbird on it. So there's a blackbird singing at the very end. And somebody said it was a thrush, but I think it's a blackbird.
We'll take your word for it.
I don't know. Rocky Raccoon. I was sitting on the roof in India, just sort of with guitar. John and I were sitting around just playing guitar, and we were with Donovan. And we were just sitting around enjoying ourselves. And I started playing the chords of Rocky Raccoon, you know, just messing around. And originally it was Rocky Sassoon. And then we started making up the words, you know, the three of us, and started just to write them down. They came very quickly. And eventually I changed it from Sassoon to Raccoon because it sounded more like a cowie. So there it is. It's just, you know, these kind of things, you can't really talk about how they come, because they just come into your head, you know. They really do. And it's like John writing his books, you know. There's no, I don't know how he does it, and he doesn't know how he does it, but he just writes. It's like any writer, you know. I think people who actually do create and write, you tend to read it and think, oh, well, now, how did he do that? But it actually does flow, just flows into their head, into their hand, and they write it down, you know. And that's what happened with this. I don't know anything about the Appalachian Mountains or cowboys and Indians or anything, but I just made it up, you know. And the doctor came in stinking of gin and proceeded to lie on the table. So there you are.
I suppose the idea to do the thing with some sort of an American Western accent also happened this way. Did it just?
That was just a joke, you know. As most of it is.
I'm going to leave it all to you. It's called Why Don't We Do It on the Road? What, I suppose somebody will say somewhere.
Dance, Tony, dance.
There's also another one of yours called I Will.